Chesterfield with guitar legend Alex Skolnick. Hi Alex, welcome to the UK and Chesterfield.
Hi,
How are you
Alison.
doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good,
Good to be here.
Good, thank you, yeah. Okay, so you're at the start of your Europe Unbound tour, this being your second date tonight.
Correct.
How are you all feeling about the show and what can the fans expect?
Oh, we're very excited. Yeah, everybody's so enthusiastic. I guess it's not a regular stop for bands in Chesterfield.
No,
so
not at all.
So for many, many are used to traveling to come see other sea shows, and we're coming right to your doorstep here. So, just the enthusiasm is really nice. Everybody at the venue is really nice. It's nice to see the town. We don't get to, see. We love London, but we know London well. It's nice to see a place that we're not less familiar with. The guys in my band have never been here.
Have you seen the Crooked Spider?
Yes. Yeah, we were talking about it. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that's what we're famous for. Okay, right. What can the fans expect from your show? It's got your new material, obviously.
Yeah. Well, this is, I have a couple different personas on guitar, and this one is there. I guess when I started doing this type of music professionally, it was really a matter of like taking the music that I was doing off stage. If I wasn't supporting Judas Priest or Megadeth, I was listening to and playing a lot of jazz guitar, blues guitar, instrumental jazz rock like Jeff Beck. That's always been a part of my. It's always informed my playing. But with this project, you really get to hear those influences directly. Yeah. And the guys in my band are both pros. We've played together a long time. Their first job is improvisation. Yeah. That's what they come from, and they've sort of discovered metal through. Even though they've owned metal records and they kind of went through phases as young listeners. Yeah. They're more like what you'd call jazz musicians, but they also they can bring it. They can bring the energy. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. There's people that come to check out these shows that are curious, that aren't really familiar with this kind of music. And most of the time they seem surprised they can enjoy that. Yeah. We played last night in Southampton. Yeah. A lot of new people. First time the trios played there. And a lot of folks who said, they've never had that experience of sitting, and just listening to music, as opposed to, just being, being bombarded by riffs and high energy, which is great too, but it's a different experience.
Okay, so your new album, Live Unbound, is your 5th album, but your first live one. So can you tell me a bit more about it? I know there's 2 brand new tracks on it, isn't there? Unbound and Culture Shock. Yeah,
there were 2 main motivations behind this album, and one that it was time to do a new album. But it's also been hard. Admittedly, it's been hard to get into the studio. Largely because of scheduling. So, in addition to Testament being very busy, I'm involved with numerous other projects. I play with the bass player Stuart Ham, who's well known for his work with Joe Satriani. And we're playing. We started playing a lot again. We first played together in the '90s. He was my first instrumental gig, and we started playing together again. And we actually have the show. We just played in LA at the Big Potato. We're playing in June with Chad Wackerman on drums, a great drummer. Yeah. So I got busy with him. I did an acoustic record called Planetary Coalition. I got busy, of course, Testament's touring. That's all. That always keeps me busy. And Metal Allegiance is this all-star group. Which, we did this very involved record where not only was I one of the main writers, but in Testament I don't need to think as much about recording the riffs. We have Eric for that. I do some of them, but on the Metal Allegiance record, that's all me playing the riffs. So I was the riff guy. And anyway, that was a very busy project. So in the last couple of years, it's just been really busy.
Yeah.
And I had these new songs. I knew I wanted to do them, but we've never done a live record with the trio, and some of these songs we've been playing for a while. We've been with these guys over 10 years. Yeah. The songs develop live, and I think releasing them now, recorded live, it's almost like releasing new songs because they've gone to such a, they're so road tested, and we've developed these really cool improvisations that weren't there when we first recorded the music. Yeah. In fact, one of my favorite moments is we did a version of Dream On. And we channel, but we used to just play it and do we have a unique arrangement of it. You definitely won't mistake it for the original. Yeah. But the way we do it now, we go to some places that we never met. I think when I first did it, I was really trying to prove I could play jazz guitar and play softly and elegantly, which is fun, and that was part of the purpose. But now there is that element, but it also, there's parts where we channel Jimi Hendrix, and Mahavishnu Orchestra, there's George Benson, and all kinds of stuff. So I think it all got captured really well on this new live.
Yeah. So talking of covers, you mentioned you've done Aerosmith's Dream On and a super long version of Scorpions' Still Loving You as well. Yeah,
well, that's another one that originally wasn't like that, and it sort of developed. Yeah. From doing live shows. Yeah. So now it has a whole blues component.
Yeah. So how do you choose which songs to cover? Are they just favourites that ones that you all like, or any particular reason?
Well, first and foremost, I have to like.
Yeah.
If I can be perfectly honest.
Of course, yeah.
But also, we haven't done any new covers in a while. Pretty much, I'm much more interested in doing original music. Yeah. But when we were doing them, and we still love to play them live, but I think we're leaning more towards being an original band. But I think when we first started doing them, it was a matter of tunes that had tunes that would work, because not every tune would work. There has to be a really good melody, a strong melody. Yeah, because most of the jazz repertoire is built on these standard tunes. A lot of them were old show tunes. Sort of the 20th century, early 20th century show tunes that they had these amazing melodies, very singable. You think of songs like Autumn Leaves or even Over the Rainbow. Right, from the Wizard, everybody knows that one. Yeah. What a melody! Right? And metal is not exactly known for its melody, or its vocal melody. Yeah. It's more about the riff. Yeah. But I think part of what we want to do is prove that there are amazing melodies. So the first song that we started covering was a song by the Scorpions, and the Scorpions was a great example of amazing melodies. Yeah. The first tune we did was No One Like You. And then we later ended up doing Still Loving You, that's probably our favorite one to play. We also did Blackout. Judas Priest, Electric Eye, that has an amazing melody. We did a very unique arrangement with that. Yeah. You don't know until we start playing the melody that it's that song. So it needs to have a strong vocal melody. It needs to fit with some type of groove that will be fun to open up and improvise over. Yeah. And in some cases that's a swing jazz groove, like Detroit Rock City by Kiss. Yeah. And that was more of a swing jazz groove. With No One Like You, it was more of a bossa nova. With the Electric Eye, it's very Latin jazz. Yeah. With every single one, I think we try to touch upon some type of groove. Yeah. that we might play if it was a standard jazz tune, or an original based on that style of music, but we can fit it to the melody and make it recognizable. And then I also want, I guess I wanted to, since it's sort of a tribute, I want to sort of pay tribute to tunes that everybody can agree on. You know, it's not, you know, it's a classic tune. You know, it's not the album that, you know, the lineup changed or anything like that. You know, you know, in the case of the one Metallica tune we did was Fade to Black.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna, we're not gonna do I Disappear or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's Kiss. I mean, nobody's gonna argue about Detroit Rock City.
No.
People are gonna argue whether, you know, new Kiss versus old Kiss.
No, it's a classic, yeah. Okay, so you've stated that Live Unbound says that you don't have much useful limitations, and as you've touched on, as an artist, it must give you a great sense of freedom being able to create this kind of work that you're doing with Alex Skolnick, such a change from Testament side.
It just feels good. It feels good, and it just feels very honest. And you know, look, if you see me playing with either Testament or Basil Beats, yeah, I can't fake it. I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it. But I also, a long time ago, still in my teens, I decided I still want to develop as a musician. Yeah. I don't want my growth to be stunted. And you know, if somebody is only interested in playing that music and listening to that music, that's fine. If that makes you happy. The problem is, you know, I was a big fan. As much as I was a fan of Van Halen, I was also a fan of Jeff Beck. And, you know, musicians that Jeff Beck was a fan of, like John McLaughlin. In fact, Charles Mingus, one of Jeff Beck's most well-known tunes is Goodbye Pork Pie Hat, which is by Charles Mingus, who's a giant in the jazz world. So I wanted to know about that music. And just the more I learned about that music, I was listening to it all the time, and I kind of felt like, you know, I put so much work into guitar technique and being able to, you know, shred and play fast and know the music theory. It just seemed a shame to, you know, really like this music, whether it was by Mingus or Miles Davis, and not be able to play it.
Yeah.
Not be able to get with a horn player or a piano player. It's like, hey, let's jam on a tune. So it took, I didn't know it would take years. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was on hiatus from performing, you know, heavy rock shows for a long time, because I didn't know if I was ever going to do it again. I figured I probably would, but only if I could get to the point. Only once I got to the point where I felt I had the other side developed. Yeah. And had done it so much that I wouldn't lose it by getting back into the you know, hard and heavy side of things.
Yeah, and you seem to have good balance.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's great. You know, I just came back from Japan, and I just, like I said, I just did this great gig with you know, the Stewart Ham Band, and I've got shows coming up with Jane Gedder, who's a singer guitarist. I play on her record. She's got members of bands from people who've played with Miles Davis, keyboardist Adam Holtzman, and Chad Wackerman on drums, and Mark Egan from Pat Metheny. So like getting to play with all these great people. Last year I taught with at a bass camp put on by Warwick. I played with Dennis Chambers and Alfonso Johnson. These are like, you know, some of my favorite musicians. But you know, after this, I'm gonna jump on tour with Testament, Sepultura, and Tom.
Yes, I was just going to mention that.
And to me, it's all, you know what I mean? It's
it's great.
It's cool. It's all cool music, and it's all.
Yeah.
One,
So
you know,
any more news coming up from Testament? Because obviously you're doing all America, aren't you? As you said.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're sort of at the early album cycle phase. So the album just came out. So.
Yes. Yeah. No,
But yeah, we haven't headlined the U.S. in quite a while.
Right.
The last time we toured the U.S. was last spring with Slayer.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice to headline again.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of time off. I'll be doing some other music, mostly in June.
Yeah.
But then July and August, the festival circuit starts. I think we're going to get really busy in August.
Yeah.
And then there's plans to do North America. I'm sorry, we're already doing North America. South America.
Right. Yeah.
And we just did Japan. And we'll probably do a headlining European tour, because we haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
We did just go all over Europe, but that was supporting a monomonth, which was great.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I think it's going to be mostly headliners for
Cool.
this year.
I've got a question from a huge Testament fan, Brett, in Canada. He says, how long will you stay with Testament?
I have to be careful how I answer, because there are certain websites that I'm not going to name. But they, instead of like reporting on my tour or something really newsworthy, it's like, okay, let's find something he says in an interview and try to make it controversial.
Yeah.
It's so silly. I'll just say, I didn't expect to be here this long. When I came back to the band in 2005, I honestly, at that time, I didn't know we were even going to do a record.
Yeah.
But we did the formation, the animation record, and then next thing you know, we're touring with Motorhead and Heaven and Hell and Judas Priest. That was an amazing tour. Metal Masters tour.
Yeah.
And then shows Slayer and Megadeth. We basically that reunion kind of relaunched the band.
Yeah.
And I've been here now longer than I was the first time around. And it's going really well.
Yeah.
Here's where it gets to be a slippery slope.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want to be an aging metal guy.
Yeah.
I'm still in the decade, which is I'm not in my 50s. I'm in my 40s.
Yeah.
Which is longer than I thought I'd be playing this music, because it's such youth music. So you can't say no, but I feel like I don't want to be like one of these guys that's just going forever, in between taking Geritol and but who knows? Right now it's working. Yeah.
Okay, so as we've mentioned, you're a person who likes to keep very busy. You've been involved in many projects, as you've mentioned, as well as writing a book, Geek to Guitar Hero. Do you have any more plans like that in the works?
I was planning that. To me, that was really just a warm-up.
Right.
Originally, I just wanted to explore writing. I'm a big reader.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll read, and I'll think, I'm not in an egotistical way, I don't think, but I could do this. I know I could. Maybe, okay, not when I'm reading, say, Philip Ross or Thomas Mann, Nobel Prize winning, and I do read stuff like that. But if I read like contemporary stuff, and there's certain writers that inspire me to write. And there's a great writer, Chuck Klosterman, who's also a music journalist. Who's the same generation, basically the same age. Somehow when I read his stuff, it's very inspiring, and it makes me want to write. Henry Rollins too. It's just with every book he just becomes a better writer. The problem is when to play guitar, and especially on the improvisational side of things, to stay on top of that and to keep improving, it really takes a lot. So it's frustrating. Yes, and I felt like when I was working on that book, I mean, I thought that would be a warm-up for many more books. But since then, I'm afraid to get back into it, because if I do, I get very into it. And I would have to sort of keep up the focus on music at the same time, which I haven't figured out how to do both. Right now, I'm very focused on music and a lot of different types of music and working with some great musicians. So I just feel like I have to be so on top of that. But we'll see.
Okay.
It's possible.
Also, something interesting, back in 2010, you became producer for Iraqi thrash band. No, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Is it
Akrasi Kauda?
Kauda.
Yes.
So, and they've been the subject of the documentary as well.
Yes.
So how did that come about, and are you still working with them?
Yeah, amazingly, I just performed with them to benefit right before this, right before coming over here.
Yeah.
Which it was great. And also Jay Weinberg, who's playing for Slipknot.
Yeah.
He sat in as well. They did a benefit for resettlement of refugees.
Right.
And these guys, they're great guys. I mean, honestly, they're like people that, you hope to meet if you go to battle shows. These are like the coolest fans.
Yeah.
And they play in band. And, yet they were refugees. You know what I mean? There's a very strange anti-refugee sentiment going on. Anti-immigrant, and it's very strange. I'm very troubled by it. So doing this show was kind of a response to that, and how they're feeling, because it would be very hard for them to get into the country right now. And not that it was easy when they did, and they were totally legal. But when they first came over, I got to know about them through the Vice documentary, Heavy Metal in Baghdad. And it's an amazing movie. I think anybody should see that if they haven't. And I guess I was put in touch with somebody at Vice, and I was familiar with Vice, but I didn't know how big they are. I mean, they're actually a huge organization. They kind of seem to have the impact that MTV once had. Just because they're everywhere. Films, documentaries, TV shows, magazines. And they, so a person at Vice sent me the advanced copy of the film. It actually hadn't even hit theaters yet. And I was very moved by the movie. And I had a tour coming up with Testament. And on our itinerary was a heavy metal festival in Turkey. And at that time, the guys were temporarily sent to Turkey. Turkey was like their foster country as they were being settled. So I invited them to the show, and that was the first time I met them, and we just hit it off. And really, really cool guys. And then the next thing you know, I get a call from Vice, and they finally got approval to resettle them in the U.S., which is not easy. And they didn't know where they were going to get sent. So they came to the U.S. and they wanted help doing a recording. So I ended up producing their EP, which I'm very proud of. Thank you.
That's great, yeah. Well, I think that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome.
Would you like to leave a message for your fans and the listeners?
Absolutely. Without my fans and listeners and all over, and all genres of music, we couldn't be doing this. So we're just very grateful for listening to what we come up with, and hope to make you pround.
Oh, thank you for your time, and have a
Absolutely.
great tour.
Thank you.
Thank you.